Good evening, Ramiz.
Hello, Vince.
Good evening. So how has your level of confusion been?
It feels quiet. There's this feeling of it feels different. I can't really explain it.
Mm-hmm.
There is a feeling of softness. There's still fear. There's still contraction. But there's a feeling of okayness with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I love that I'm hearing you say about feelings. That suggests that the mental turmoil is having less of a hold on you. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still going.
Oh, yeah.
There is this part of me that wants to understand this. For maybe there is curiosity to like what is going on here, and there is this fear of like wanting to know where I am, wanting to have validation if there is some progress is happening.
Yeah. Yep.
And then there's part of like, who gives a shit? I'm loving this.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Yeah. The story jumps up here that you're wandering around some paradise totally lost. You have no idea how you got there. You have no idea how to get out of it. And it's almost like you have a choice. You can worry about how you got in there. You can worry about how you're going to get out of there, or you can just really appreciate what it is happening, what is around you, where you are. And that seems to be a bit of what you're doing. Yeah. Hi, Johan.
Hi, Vince. So good to join you.
Yeah, great. Good to see you. Yeah. Yeah. And the really interesting thing is that how you got there doesn't matter. And even, is there any need to get out of there? But if there is, just as you enjoy the scenery, you will discover the way out. It's like it's just a good story. Yeah.
Yeah, like when you go to watch a movie, you want to be entrapped by it as well.
Yeah. And what you do in that movie is it doesn't matter what it's about. It can be a cartoon, or it can be a science fiction, or it doesn't matter, but you suspend disbelief for the sake of being involved. You willingly do that. Yeah.
Can you explain suspend disbelief? That you don't believe that it's reality? Or?
Yeah, well, that's in the background. When you get involved in it, there isn't a question of whether it's reality or not. The experience is real. Yeah. So it's wrong to say that you suspend disbelief. That you really what happens is, I guess, is that you willingly connect with what's happening. Don, Jeremy,
morning, afternoon, evening, wherever
whatever.
you are.
Yeah. We have to come up with new words that work for anywhere in the world, don't we? Yeah. Well, we've got them, I suppose. We can say hi, hello. Yeah. Yeah.
Greetings from Spain.
You're in Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what time of the day is it there?
11 in the morning.
11 in the morning, right? Okay. 9 p.m. here in Australia. Okay. Melody, Hattie, David, Jay. Yeah. Yeah. So tell us, hi, David. So tell us, Johan, where are you up to with this stuff?
Working on like enjoying it, and yeah, trying to incorporating this questioning of like who is behind, you know. Yeah, there's been a lot of like in the stories, there's been a lot of like search and like consuming information. So it's like it's a liberation just to start looking.
Did you say stop looking?
To start looking.
Start looking, yeah.
Yeah. And I went to like meet a couple, Luba and Luciana.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I went to meet them some month ago, and that was it's a nice start. It feels like you need to be held the hand in the beginning because there's a different ball game, like, and yeah, so yeah, and I totally feel like, wow, this is different. This is a different thing, like, and I want to go all in on it, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, good one. Yeah. Hi, Millie.
Hi, everyone.
Tell us where you're up to with this stuff, Millie. Is that how you say your name, Millie?
Yeah, Melly is correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh.
Well, I just started, I could say, I think I started a week or two ago, and I have a guide that is guiding me. And I just noticed, like, when I saw this meeting, I noticed, like, whoa, what is my intention? And it's like, I don't trust myself to look on my own. And like, I need to have you to agree if it's correct what I'm seeing.
Okay.
Yeah, like we can agree.
Yeah.
And then I noticed, oh my gosh, I'm alone in this, and it feels a bit scary to look on my own. It's scary.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, and where I am, I just did the last exercise with the body, and when I have my eyes closed and I look for the body, I don't find a body. I just find sensations. So my direct experience is that there is actually no body. It's like it's in the mind.
Yes.
Like like the word, the label, I find it refers to an image,
Yes.
a mental. It's so difficult to like not go to the mind to look for the answers. That's the habit, like so
Yeah.
habitual
Absolutely. Yeah.
to refer to the mind. What does the mind say? Oh, I cannot trust like sensations. It's like the mind is the boss.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
politician.
Yes. Yeah, it's the chief. Yeah. Go ask the mind. But I was curious, like, is that my correct answer? Because when I open my eyes, there is the body. But if
No,
I
no, there isn't a body. When you open your eyes, there's still no body. What is there? If you put your hand up, what do you see?
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Go away. That's my watch talking. So what do you see when you look at your hand?
I see a hand.
No, you don't. You call it a hand. Yeah.
Yeah, I answered too
A
quickly.
hand, like the body, is a concept, right? And it's like a university is a concept. Okay, you get a university. There is no such thing as university-ness there. What we have at a university is we have some buildings, and we have some students, and we have some teachers and some professors, and we have an intent to learn things or to teach things. And if we put all those together in a concept, we can call it a university. Okay, when you look at your hand, you see other concepts. You see concept that we call a thumb, a concept that we call an index finger, etc. And you put all those together with the palm, the concept of the palm of the hand, and you call it a hand. But what do you actually see when you look at it? Okay, let's break it
Going
down.
to the
Let's just
mind.
look at one finger. This gets a little tricky. You could say, okay, what I see is color. But color is also a concept. What you see is an experience that in detail, you can't even put into words. So you could say, oh, that's a pink finger, but it's not really pink, is it? And when I look at it, it changes in color from there to there. And there's these more reddish lines across it. And then there's a shadow, we can't even be accurate when we call it pink. It's not really pink, but we have an experience of it that we know, right? But the moment we try and describe it, we're up in our head in concept land. Yeah. So it's like the body. So if you say, does the body include the back of your head? How do you know you've got a back of your head? You don't. You can. No. If you touch it, all you can say is, oh, there's a sensation. And I can use concepts to describe that part of the sensation, or one sensation, is in my hand and another sensation is in my head, but they're concepts I'm using to describe that sensation. The actual sensation is way, way, way too complex to actually describe accurately. You could not communicate what your experience of that sensation is to me, no matter how hard you try. You just have to get into concept land, and we have to simplify things to a stupid degree and say, oh, I touched the back of my head. I had a feeling of touch. That doesn't really tell me much at all, does it? What we're doing is throwing around ideas, concepts, thoughts, words, but they're not actually anything. So body, to say I have a body, you're using this concept of a body. How do you know you've got a heart? How do you know you've got a stomach? Because somebody told you have?
I believe it.
It's just a belief. Absolutely. It's all mental. Yeah.
And yet when you said it, what is it like for the hand? I went and asked my mind.
Yes.
I did not check, like, is it really a hand?
Yeah.
But I went here,
Yeah.
back and out.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
then I can say it's a hand.
Yeah.
But
And in normal daily life out in the community, it's a perfectly reasonable thing to say, I've got a hand.
yeah.
But what happens is that we actually stop. We believe that that's what it actually is, and we don't go any deeper. So what we're doing here is going deeper, going into more detail about what is actually going on. That's the really big thing. What is actually happening? What is concept and what is actual? And what we're doing, this starts to get really airy-fairy stuff really, really quickly. What we're doing is looking for a world that exists beneath a thought level, below words and ideas, what is actually happening.
Yeah, it's like an aliveness, an
Absolutely,
aliveness.
yes.
When I live in these concepts, it's like it's dead. It's like a dead world, it seems like.
Yes,
Just
it
concepts.
is.
But I miss the aliveness. I'm up here during the day. I'm here just listening to what this is telling me, like what the out there is. But it's like a dead, it's like a dead world.
It is. It is.
It's not experienced.
No, that's right. Yeah. It has a place, but what we're looking for is something else altogether. Yeah.
But it's frightening. I feel like I might just disappear, or
Absolutely.
my mind tells me
You you will disappear. Yeah.
No, even the body feels like a light, and it feels like it's transparent.
Yes.
Once I sit in these questions, like you say, if when I close my eyes, some parts of the body I don't feel, and then are they there? I'm asking. Yeah, like I feel this and this, but like I don't feel the entire body. So is it transparent? Is it there?
Well, this brings us to another point that's a critical point and really valuable in this discovery that we're embarking on, and that is the difference between what we call the absolute and what we call the relative. Okay, so if we say that science shows that we all have a heart that pumps our blood and that works, we can put that in the category of the absolute, right? But the absolute is not something we can know. It's actually something that I hesitate to say it's something that belongs in that dead world you're talking about. For the moment it does, let's say, but we'll do a circle and we'll come back to it later where it becomes very alive. But in the beginning. So the absolute is something we don't know. We cannot know what the absolute is. Everything that we experience comes through the filters of our learning, of our conditioning. And so the relative, which is what it's even that's a bad word. Let's say the perspective from the perspective of experience, right? And if we separate that from what is absolute, what is out there, what
Actual.
yeah, it's so the only thing we can know is our experience. That is the only thing that is actual for us in this investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we don't experience a heart or we don't experience a liver, then for the sake of this, it doesn't exist for us. In the absolute, it probably does. It does exist in the absolute, of course.
I'm relieved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the common agreement, the agreement. We agree.
Yes.
Everyone agrees that we have a heart. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's irrelevant for us in this situation. You know, it's something we can't know. We can only believe. And so
Yeah.
all we can know is of our experience. But the moment we try and describe our experience, we get back up into our head and we're into concept land again. So
Yeah.
the actual experience that we're looking to tap into can't be described. It's too subtle. It's too complex. It changes. It's varying constantly. And it's at a feeling level.
Millie, I want to share how much something you said earlier resonated with me and made something click. A couple of years ago, I was in therapy and my therapist picked up on something that I hadn't realized that had been there my whole life, and that is how much I was appealing to some external authority. It was part of my lifelong search and seeking. I was looking for something to give me answers to how to live my life. When you said the word chief in terms of describing, like looking to your thoughts in your mind, I realized that although I had given up much of the external appealing to some external authority, I still had. He had mentioned, like, you got to look inside yourself for answers, and I interpreted that as I got to look to my chief for answers. And what just clicked for me is that we are appealing to experience, not thoughts, not beliefs, not something else, but our direct experience. And I never considered that before. So thank you. Thank you for doing that for me.
Yeah, I've been doing inquiry for the last 6 years. It's called the work of Byron Katie, and where you identify your thoughts, put them on paper, and question them, and then you can turn them around, and then you see that what the mind is telling you, it's not really true in your experience. So I'm very aware of my. And Vince, you're saying what you have learned, yeah. These beliefs that I have picked up growing up, but I never stopped to ask myself, do I really believe this? That the world is unsafe, like, or anything, like, do I ever stop to ask myself? So tapping into this now, it's easier for me since I'm familiar to inquiry. I never stopped to ask myself, yeah, and all of what I know, it's learned. Someone taught me this is so and that is so, but never really asked me to, do I think so? Do I believe that?
Mm. And of course, everything that people have taught you has been what they've learned through their conditioning.
Recycling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could say no thought is trustworthy. None, not one. Every single thought is just a thought. Thoughts can't know anything. All they can do is express beliefs, ideas. And that's of very little value here. It has value in other places, but here it's got no value. Yeah. Did you get with Byron Katie, did you get to the point where you can look to your body for answers rather than to your mind? Have you experienced a body yes and a body no?
What do you mean body yes?
Well, you can do this experiment yourself. You can state a blatant lie and watch how the body responds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it will
That's the
respond
word.
with a contraction.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. The
Right.
work is for question is it true? Can you
Yes.
absolutely know that it's true? And then how do you react when you believe that thought?
Yes.
And then you notice all of what happens in your body, tightness and anger and every emotion. And yeah, and then who would you be without that thought in that situation?
Mm.
And then the body relaxes, and then you see that you are okay, and you can see more, you can see clearly that situation.
Yeah.
And no anger comes up, nothing
Yeah.
without that thought. And then you turn the thought around. Yeah, so yeah, it's
Yeah. And a body yes is an openness, an expansion,
Yeah.
a relaxation. Yes.
yeah. And contraction with the thought, yeah, contraction,
Mm.
alienation, anger, blaming the other. So yeah, what the work has taught me is that my suffering is caused by what I'm thinking and believing,
Absolutely.
and not by the outside world.
Mhm.
So that's huge.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Not to blame the world, not to blame others for my anger, but I feel like I want more. Like I know there's more.
Of course. Yes. It's never
Because
ending, isn't it?
yeah, like with the work, I do worksheets. I judge other people, then I question those thoughts. But it's like I'm not living my life. I'm not living life yet. I'm still working. It's like still working on me, but I don't feel free to just wake up in the morning and be grateful for the day and just be at service, maybe maybe be at service for others and just enjoy life.
You will.
Yeah, that's what I but also I'm like this deep looking. My mind told me, I noticed the thought this morning, I will become irresponsible if I follow my guide and I just go for it. My mind told me, oh, that you're going to be irresponsible, then you won't care about other people. Like you won't make amends as you do when you hurt someone else.
You'll
Yeah,
become
when
a
you
narcissist. You won't. Believe me, you won't. But okay, yeah. of course, the mind says these kind of things, doesn't it? You know, because it can't comprehend. The mind will never understand where we're going. It's beyond the mind, the capability of the mind to understand what experience is. You said a moment ago about who is responsible, and it's not the world that is responsible for your suffering. But it's not you that's responsible for your suffering either. That's
No. Yeah.
you've been hypnotized, you've been conditioned, and it becomes habit, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, responsibility is another concept. It's a joke.
Mhm.
It's something that every society has a different idea of what responsibility is. If you go to some tribe in the Amazon, you'll have a totally different idea of responsibility than you would have here
Yeah.
or where you are. Yeah.
No, what I meant is like irresponsible, not being, not like the work is about cleaning up your past, like going to those people you have hurt in the past and say, I'm really sorry. How can I make this right? I am afraid that I will skip that part, that if I realize what I'm wanting to realize, then what about that? Like my past, like I have this idea that I have to clear up my past.
Mm, mm.
Or
Yeah.
maybe it's not even my idea, it's Byron Katie's idea, I think.
Sure,
It's,
yeah. And
her
I think
path.
you have perhaps a slight misinterpretation of it too. But regardless, what that's about is that your past is not in the past. Your past is present. Yeah? And
Mhm.
so what that's about is forgiveness of yourself. It's about letting go of stories that you torture yourself with. That's kind of part of what that is, yeah. When you wake up to some degree or another, and I don't anyway, you'll be so full of compassion and empathy for everybody, you know, that stuff will just happen. There will be no hanging on to guilt or shame from the past or even in the present. Yeah. But I want you to explore the idea too. And I mean, we may be jumping ahead and we may be going very fast here, but I think you're up for it. That if you can accept and see that your life's experience has shaped you, shaped the way you think, and the way you feel is in response to the way you think. It shapes also how you interpret what is out there, what exists in the world, the trees and the flowers and the animals and the people, right? So all of that comes in through your senses via the filters that have developed from your lifetime of conditioning. So if you and I stand and look at a tree, we're both going to see different things. And if beside us we've got a dog and another one a cat, right? Dogs see in less colours than people do, and cats, I don't know how cats see it, and an insect will see it in the infrared spectrum. Every one of us will see something entirely different. And if they could talk, they might also call it a tree, but that's just a concept for the sake of communication, right? it is so personalized to you what you experience as the world or as other people. That's absolutely unique. Nobody else experiences anybody or anything the way you do. It is absolutely your world that you live in, that you walk in, that you operate in. And everybody out there is also filtered through that stuff. And you can go one step further. You can say that those filters, every one of those filters has developed as a result of your experience. Right? So everybody that you see out there is in fact a version of your experience. It's your projection. It's you. There are no others out there. There are no others. There's just you.
I have that sense sometimes that it's just me. People I interact with, it's just why it's like who they are, who I believe them to be, and then I'm interacting with myself. Yeah, I have that sense that there's no one here, and it's just mind, and then mind has created those people, and it's interacting with itself, and the way I treat them is how I treat me, and like that. But it makes so much sense. Even Byron Katie says, I am who you believe me to be. I can never be anything else.
You've got it. And do you rock that? Can you really feel that in yourself?
I just did now when you shared, I just got it. It kind of, yeah. And she says, no two people live in the same world.
Isn't it exciting? I love it. Yeah.
And I haven't got it until now when you said, and said, I am who you believe me to be. I can never be anything else or anyone else. Exactly. And 20 people look at me, they see 20 different Byron Katies.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But what you said, that there's no one, they're all me. That's huge,
isn't it?
And she says, when I serve, I'm only serving myself. You're in me, she says. You're in me, and you are me, and you're in me.
Yeah. We can go just one tiny but infinite step further and say that me is everything.
Not just people, but everything.
Everything, but it's not just that is all you. It's that you are all that. That's infinitely huge.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bit too big a step at the moment.
No, like my mind is like, whoa.
Yeah, your mind will never understand it. You've got to feel it. And how this, forgive me for sounding almost religious, but how you will feel it is with an appreciation of love. It's love. It can't be bottled. It can't be measured. It can't be anything. It's not static. It's not a thing. It doesn't come and go. It's indescribable, but that's if you can get a feeling of love, then you can experience that everything that you are. It has no boundaries. It goes forever. And
Can you repeat that, what you said, that all of it, or how did you put it?
I can't. I don't want to repeat it. I feel almost apologetic because it kind of sounds almost religious, but
No, no, it doesn't. It does resonate. It doesn't. It doesn't because I mean it's in awareness. Everything is
absolutely,
awareness.
yeah. So you have to you just dismiss the mind completely from any attempt to try and understand or encompass what it is that we're talking about here. And the only way to appreciate it is just to feel your heart expanding, just to feel that sensation. It's not even a sensation, but it's, you know, that I mean, no, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to start crying if we keep this up. So just yeah, play with it.
May I?
Play with it. It's inexperience. Yes, please, Rowena.
May I
Say.
say something? Mira, hi. I came in a little bit late. Do you work with direct experiencing with the senses, with the pure sense fields? Because it's a very beautiful entryway to, for example, if you go outside and look at a tree or just look at a landscape, it's easier outside. And the looking it's like to become absorbed in the looking. So originally you go outside and then you sort of settle down and say, okay, I'm just going to look, maybe even sitting on a bench somewhere, and just look. And it takes a little while for the mind to calm down from the directions of looking. So there's a little bit of practice to train a sort of a new way of looking. But when you can go into the looking and relax the mind, and it's like, can I get deeper into this looking? The looking it's like there's a field. It's like a field of just looking, and then there are images, colors. You don't need to label anything. And the looking sort of takes over almost all the cells of the body. After a while, there is a sort of merging. And there is that feeling. It's not exactly what Vince was talking about, because that's somehow the shift of, you know, the dropping away of everything. But this is a way into it, is through that field of just somehow melting or being absorbed into. It's not even an activity. Something, I think, even attention dissolves into something. Happens as an exchange when the looking, there is no seer, there's no seen, there's just the seeing, there's no subject object, and that's when sort of something happens that can, it's a different way than working with the thoughts. And the same is with the hearing the sound field, with eyes closed, maybe a little bit easier than seeing, because the seeing, it's harder to quiet the mind, but getting just into the pure seeing, that pure hearing of, like, all random noises, the fridge, the outside noises, different rhythms and different things,
not
and then
labeling
just
them. When you
without any labels, just sort of, I don't know, it's like just sinking into the sound. So the subject object, there's no separation, that where you look for the line between the hearer and the heard, and you can't find anything. There's this, again, this sort of merging, and a beautiful sort of alchemy arises, because attention, you start off maybe with a bit of attention. Okay, I'm going to get closer into this. But then when it's seen that you can't find a dividing line between the hearer and the heard, everything melts of like the attention, the control, the so that's just my that's a way that I practice a lot. Yesterday I had to wait for somebody to get something for me in the supermarket, and so I just sunk into the seeing field, and everything did become like love. It was just that experience, and it wasn't really that everything in this, it wasn't the naming, because there wasn't any naming of anything. It was just that sort of somehow sinking in away from okay, I'm waiting for somebody, you know, it was a sort of sinking into that moment and just using, in a way, the seeing field as a type of portal of connection.
Thank you. I will try that, and I think I know. I think I know. Yeah, yeah. Like looking. I do that sometimes, and it feels like I'm not looking with the eyes. It's like I'm looking with the entire body.
Yeah, yeah.
There's just looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I can't say that the eyes are seeing. The eyes are
No.
looking, but it's just like
Yeah.
looking.
Exactly. It all of a sudden it's like, yeah, there's no reference to eyes. There's just a sort of somehow a cellular merging or a sensation of merging into becoming one with everything.
You will likely also experience the different senses merging. They won't be distinct. There won't be no distinct seeing. You will feel what you see. You will see what you hear, and so on and so on. They kind of run together, your senses, as you do that. Yeah. But the whole point is this is just away from that world where thoughts dominate. Yeah.
A question that I'll sometimes use, Vince, that relates to what you were just talking about is trying to locate or find the boundaries between what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, or like feeling into the sensations of my left hand and maybe those of my right hand, and looking for a boundary. Like, where are they appearing, and is there a difference, or like between sensations and sight? Like, are they actually? We have this, I think, conditioned sense that those things are happening in different places, but then when you look, you can't find that there's any difference between where
there's a discovery that location is a mind thing. Now, this is over there or over there. It's a mind thing that says that. If you just get just with the sensation, you don't know where it is. It's just a sensation somewhere, not even where, just a sensation. Yeah. So that boundary requires a mind, and it's all imagination. So in a sense, you can even bring that into what we're talking about, in that there is no boundary, there is no beginning and end to anything. There is just the totality of this. I dislike the way a lot of the non-dualists try and help people, because they but here I am doing the same kind of thing at the moment a bit, you know, that yeah, anyway. Yeah. So how did all that resonate for you, Johan?
Yeah, like I pick up on the last point. It feels like very intimate, as if you're, when you're more connected to, you feel more connected to whatever it is. Suddenly it's so vibrant and so so live. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think yeah, any words that we say is like yeah,
Yeah.
it's like yeah, it can activate like trying to understand and stuff like that, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
and
But
then
words can
I
also be
started
very
activating this.
words can be really revealing as well. You know?
Yeah.
So when you said connected, my mind immediately started jumping up and down, saying, "Oh, okay. So connected means that there's you and there's that, and there's a connection between them." Yeah, I don't know if that's what.
Yeah, yeah, I have to make the effort to connect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It tells
Who
us
is
something,
that?
doesn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm not connected already.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can you be connected to what you are? That's
Yeah,
yeah,
you have to go somewhere or what? Like,
yeah. Mm.
yeah, the mind or the thoughts seem to distract by thinking, you're not this, you're missing this, and yeah, incomplete in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
You are this sensation. You are like this story. You know, take this story seriously.
Yeah, the mind is a brilliant story creator, and it does a fantastic job at that. It can do it so quickly and so completely, and come up with really complex stories in the flash of one idea. It's just amazing what it can do. And yet, for this stuff, it's totally redundant. Yeah. But then Don's got a mind that's really works hard.
Yeah. I was gonna ask Johanna, maybe I could ask you after. I've been working with Luciana the last few weeks, I guess, and she's been talking about going to see them in France and stuff. Have you actually spent time? And maybe I could talk to you afterwards about that, how it went, or if you've gone to see them.
Yeah, I did. Awesome.
Yeah. I can maybe send my email address and you can talk to me a bit. I just want to see, it sounds like a fun idea, but I could talk to you one-to-one afterwards, maybe, if that's.
Sure. Wonderful.
It might be cool experience. Yeah, thanks. Thanks very much.
Like whatever helps us to kind of create space for this kind of exchange, right? It's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And it's such a big difference from my seeking, the seeking habit of the mind to join up. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I'm suggesting put your email addresses in chat to each other. Yeah. So you
I'll do that. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also heard Melly mention Byron Katie. I always have it's pretty a body no, I think it is, because every time I try doing that, I find it really difficult and I get nowhere and I find it annoying. And then even with people facilitating to help me, I get nowhere and I find it really annoying. And I go, I'm not going to do Byron Katie. She's just not for me. And then so many people keep telling me, oh, Byron Katie is going to be really good for you. I'm like, no. And then there's too much thinking going on. I'm going, I just don't want to. And then there's another voice goes, you just have to, because it's about thinking and you believe your thoughts too much. And and I have this battle going on saying, you need to do Byron Katie. And the other part goes, no, I don't want to. It sounds like it'll take me 20 years to go through all these thoughts one by one. I prefer to find another way. Anyway.
So Melly, trust that you know something that Don doesn't, and what can you say to him that might be of value to him? You just get the idea that he's lost in his thoughts. He believes a lot of his thoughts at one level, and another level he doesn't. But he's kind of ruled by them. So what would you tell him? As you know, you're a guide right now. Guide Don. Now trust your intuition. Don't think about it. Trust your intuition.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh.
I don't
What would
know.
I say?
No pressure. No pressure.
Yeah, what would
Do
I
you
say
have
to
any thoughts
Dawn?
come up when he
No,
was
I can
talking?
relate. No, I can relate to that, Dawn. Even my mind is like very busy. It's
Tell
so
him about
busy
that.
during.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so busy. It's very busy during the day. Like even like doing the dishes. Oh, like especially when I'm doing or making dinner, my mind becomes so busy. And then like I don't want to do the activity because of how busy my mind becomes. But the work, yeah, it hasn't been easy for me either with the work. It's been kind of mechanical, but lately I've come to see I did some worksheets on my father for how he treated me when growing up. And like just the latest worksheet is, it showed me completely how I had caused my own suffering and how in the same situation, without my stories, without my interpretation, I felt that love that Vince, that you're talking about. And I could see that my father loved me, even though he treated me badly as I saw it, but he cared. So my mind was telling me he hates me, he doesn't care about me, he thinks I'm worthless. All of my stories, like all of that made me depressed. So it was all of my suffering, it was caused by my mind. And even though my father slapped me, like if I did not have any thoughts and any stories, I would be in that space of love for me and him, and I would be able to see that he's actually afraid. He's afraid that something might happen to me, and also his mind, his like what he's thinking and believing, past, future, which is not like what's happening. That caused him to react the way he did with anger and to slap me. But like, I'm innocent. I was innocent. I was believing my thoughts, my story. He was innocent. So that's what the work has showed me, the innocence. And the Byron Katie keeps speaking about the innocence. We're all innocent. We're just believing our mind, our thoughts. But I can relate to that, Dawn, and yeah, to just maybe to and it could be that that you don't need the work. It could be. Not everyone has to go through that. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
I'll see
And
what, yeah. Thank you.
she says herself, there are many paths out there. She says mine is not the only one.
Yeah, thank you. I find it hard to tell the difference between like the voice, you know, just like I said a minute ago, the voice that says you must do this is the important thing, or like, I don't know, Angelo often says something like, go to the place you don't want to go or you haven't been to or something. And then the other voice I have, which always tries to discipline me and make me do hard things because they're hard. I don't know. And as I say, I've done Byron Katie stuff a little bit myself on my own. I always get to the same places I've been before. And I went to one of her things and I was paired off with somebody who was very nice. And we met on Zoom only once, I suppose. But I did think about my father. Like you said, I was traumatized afterwards. I got to the worst place. I had spent hours trying to calm myself down. I'd gotten nowhere good with this person. And she'd been working with Byron Katie for 10 or 15 years. So then I was thinking my friend who was most vocal in telling me I need to do this, like she went to do a course like 10 years ago or something for like 10 days or something. I was like, oh my God, I have to invest like tons of money and go on a 10-day course and spend 10 years doing all this. Oh my God. It feels like a really intense. I guess the place I'm at right now, it feels like is I've said this before the weeks, I suppose. It's like sometimes I can calm down. I was talking about Luciana. I mean, met her yesterday, was it? I mean, like many other times with people helping with this or even with therapy, and like took her about 3/4 of an hour just to calm me down. It happens, you know, just to be a little bit present. I was just by the end of the session going, oh yeah, it took that long with somebody else trying to, and then I'm going, oh yeah, I can see now a little bit presence. But then the thoughts are just so strong. I'm like, why do I keep believing that stuff? It's ridiculous. I can see that it's just thoughts. I'm still taken in by these thoughts and I'm watching it, and it just, even if I can see, I won't go on. The last thing I was going to say, I find it very frustrating. The last year or so, I've been even asked Angela a question about this about a year ago, which was something like, why do I believe things that I don't believe? Like I can see something, I can see a thought, I can see a belief, and I go, I can see that that isn't true right now, this moment, it's just not true. I can see it, and I still believe it 100%. I'm like, what is going on there? I can't. Well, it can't be 100%, I suppose, but it feels so. I get frustrated by seeing, you know, I can see a thought or something, and it's so obviously not true. The evidence says it isn't, and my experience says it isn't, and logic says it isn't true, and it feels true. And I'm like, it's so annoying. And anyway.
You know, I get it. I do get it. And she says, I don't try to let go of my thoughts. Like, yeah, you can see it, but I question them. And when I meet them with understanding. And when I do that, they let go of me. But I was just thinking maybe to start with not like go to trauma, not to start with that, but to start with light thoughts, like anything, like to start with thoughts that are not so stressful.
Yep.
Yeah, but I can't know. Yeah, I cannot know for you. What's the best thing for you now?
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
So Don, I'm interested when you calm down, like after you've been with Luciana for a while and you calm down, and then that session finishes, how long before you find yourself wound up again? Does that happen in minutes or hours or days? How long?
It's usually hours or maybe a day or so. But funny enough, last week I was pretty chilled for the rest of the evening and the following day, some of the time. Yesterday, I wasn't all the way calmed down enough, even by the end of an hour and a quarter.
Right.
And that didn't, it wasn't, I was that thought of my thoughts are going to come and get me any second, was there even at the end.
So you can have those thoughts even when you're chilled.
Yeah. And it's just sort of whispering in the background going, we can see this, whatever presence, as I might call it. And last week was pretty, and for me anyway, last week's session on Friday was pretty fresh and bigger and more expansive than I had seen before. That was pretty cool. Yesterday was still a little bit. Yeah, the little niggling thought, even if everything is almost completely quiet, there's one little niggling thought that says, the thoughts are going to come and get you. You know they are.
Yep.
And then, and it's ridiculous because that's just a thought, but it seems believable because it has happened before. But yeah, but it could be fairly calm for a few hours, and then the next day I'll remember a little bit, and then, like as I mentioned to you, Alan, thanks so much, has been helping me quite frequently recently, and that kind of can stay with me for the evening and sometimes for some of the next day. Just the memory of it, I can click back into it a little bit.
Yep. Right.
But it's almost never all the way down. Sorry.
Yeah, go on. Now, would you say that when you're feeling chilled, even though you've got that, excuse me, you've got that background thought about, you know, that they'll come back and get you. That's not a dominant thought, is it? It's just in the background that it's there. It's like you somehow don't trust that calm state to stay around.
It's kind of, yeah, there's I think there's a difference. Like when I say calm down now, the thought that the thoughts were going to come and get me is still believable enough because I'm struggling a bit recently, and it's still a little bit scary. Whereas I think there would have been a time, I don't know why, it just comes to my mind. I remember the first time I heard Locke Kelly saying something like, "What's here now when there's no problem to solve?" And I was like, ping. I was in a Zen state for the whole evening, like 5 hours of complete calm.
Yep.
Any thought that came along was like, that's just one of those thoughts. How funny is that? And I was just, you know, and every thought was like, just looking at the thoughts going, yeah, it's just a thought, who cares?
Yeah.
But
you can't
nowadays,
drop into that state.
no. So I have, like, I don't know, making percentages out of it, but like the most I can get to is like 80 or 90% spaciousness, or 90%, 95, and there's always just a few percent of genuinely believable anxious thoughts in the corner.
Yep.
Going, oh, I'll get you, probably, I will.
I would imagine that hanging off that thought, that the thoughts will come back and get me, is a feeling of dread, certainly not a good feeling, and maybe a whole lot of other little thought stories about, I mean, I can only imagine, like little thought stories like, I better not relax too much or they'll come back quicker, or what about, I don't deserve to have this state for very long? Is that one of them?
Kind of, yeah. The one about relaxing is there. I need to be vigilant because I expect them to come back, because I feel they do automatically.
So vigilance, you say. So there's this hyper alertness going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that fills your body with stress hormones, doesn't it? That one.
Kind of does.
Yeah.
There's a kind of a feeling of, I was even talking to Luciana about this, like there's a funny, I don't know what other people's minds or brains are like, you know, obviously, but like there's this, so how I slide from some kind of clarity into almost unconsciousness, it feels like confusion, unconscious. It feels like, it really is, it sounds paranoid to say this, like it's like my brain or my mind can take me away from this conversation, from this clarity, and just go, ugh. And it's very slowly. It's like on movies or TV when one picture is faded into the other one, and then it's just, and I'm sometimes watching this fading going, where's the, and I sometimes try to sit there in the middle between those two things going, is there, it feels like just an instant of unconsciousness that can be created, like a quarter of a second, enough to take me to the next place, the next dream. And I'm afraid, I can see that happening so often. I'm going, I feel I have to watch for that. I don't know. It's funny, I was going to say.
Asleep? Do you have nightmares? Do you have nightmares when you're asleep?
Not so much nightmares, very, very infrequently. I have dreams, but not very often nightmares. That's true, yeah.
Do you remember your dreams?
A little bit recently. I've had a few, yeah. But a little bit recently. I had one or two recently. It's funny, I was just thinking, I spent most of my life feeling really proud of being an atheist. And now I'm kind of going, I'd love some faith. I'd love to have faith in this. I'd love to feel confident that this is working. Because the thing I have faith in is my bloody thoughts coming to get me. I want to be one of those cheerful seekers that goes, oh, look at the great things I realized this week. I really believe in this path. It's so powerful. Oh my God. You know, the universe is so, whereas I'm like, no, my thoughts are, you know, the most powerful thing.
Don, when you have these discussions with Alan or Luciana, and you find yourself in these calmer states, in those moments, do you have the same thoughts that arise that like, oh, this is something's going to sneak in the next minute? Or is it only when it's after those discussions?
No, it's always, no, still these days, as it were, it's always there. I can feel the mind and the churning and the fear and the worry, and it gets a bit smaller. I mean, I would nearly say the spacious time, it's like if the mind activity reduces from 100% down to anything below that, and I can go, oh, there's some space around this, and then there's some space of a small percentage, and it kind of increases, but the mind never goes to zero. That anxious churning energy contraction, whatever, is always so seemingly, I guess I should say, there's always some of it there, even when I'm calm, quite calm. I can feel grateful going, there's space here and calm and silence here, and it sometimes almost feels like me. And then there's this other me who's the mind and who's just there, and I can feel the contraction and the fear, and it doesn't go away completely at all. And I do feel I have to keep vigilant and watching it, because it would take less than a second for it to persuade me into an anxious thought, an anxious place, and I can't. Yeah.
Maybe a better or a different way to ask the question is, if Alan could follow you around 24/7, being next to you,
giving me grief for going into my mind. Yeah. Yeah.
Would you have the same fear that you're just a millisecond away from another thought, stealing away the spaciousness? Or would there be a deeper trust and maybe even a faith that with him by your side, there could be some?
I do wonder. I do think that's possibly true. Yeah. If it went on for long enough, then it might become a habit to stay present. If there was an Alan sitting on my shoulder, yeah, giving me grief, yeah, and then I just wouldn't. That's why I don't know. That's why I always think discipline is very important. I need to just sit for hours and hours and not let it happen, or something, or I need to not, because I feel like it's my fault for letting myself get distracted. So if somebody, I do, yeah, sometimes feel like that if I didn't let it happen or something, whoever I am, I would get out of the habit. I do, yeah, because I criticize myself a lot. So one of the things I criticize myself for is allowing myself to go off on these stories and fantasies and worries and things, rather than sitting. Yeah.
John, do you believe that your natural state is relaxed expansiveness? Do you believe that's when you're in your most natural state, and that when you've got contractions and sensations that might have a label, a negative label, but they're just sensations in their body, that they shouldn't be there and that you should flee them?
Oh, I see.
It's going back to that old pointing of, okay, you're talking about vigilance. You're hyper alert, but you're fleeing. How does vigilance feel in the body?
Yeah.
And when you take away the label of vigilance, what's wrong with going, okay, it's not necessarily uncomfortable, but if you can get friendly, as Pernilla would say, can you be in a body with those sensations? Can you be? And then maybe you can say, no, I can't. And that's like, no, I won't do it. And so then I go back into the mind, and that's a little rebelling, and that's fine too. But can you be in a body which is uncomfortable, but where immediately the mind is going to label, okay, vigilance, this, something's going to get me. And again, the helpfulness of writing. And the other belief you have mentioned is you have too many thoughts. It would take you a day to write down half an hour because you have so many thoughts. Well, that's just another thought. Yeah. So just picking a small slot and just writing those down, but then always just going back to the sensations, because the thoughts are just the labels. Yeah. Because it's when you can get into the body, then the stress, there'll be a place for you to land out of the thoughts. At the moment, there's no place because you go to the body and you're feeling, I should feel open and bliss, like when I've been, you know, when you've been with Alan or Luciana, but
Yeah.
and it's there, but they're helping you relax into the body, and it's for you to, the body's inviting you to say, even if I'm uncomfortable, you know, I want you to actually be with this discomfort.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It makes sense. I think, what do I think? Like, even when Alan is guiding me, or even Luciana, Alan, whichever, it seems like just the simple sounding thing of experiencing feeling sensations in my body is not available immediately. There's like thought energy resistance dragging me back, repeatedly distracting emotion and thought and energy and blah, and I'm just sitting here trying to force myself. I watched it sounds, you know, typical forcing. I'm about Vince is laughing now because I force myself to do relaxing meditation all the time. But there was a when Violet had a retreat last September, October, and Josh was there talking about the sensations, and after that I was like, right, I'm going to feel the fucking sensations now. That's what I'm going to do. And I was just sitting, just for months, just sitting and really dragging myself down out of my head, and sort of successfully. But it just, yeah, I mean, I don't think I consciously believe that I have to feel incredibly peaceful and blissful in natural state or whatever, but I just find it hard to get down to just pure sensations. And Alan can drag me down by shouting at me for an hour, and I'm finally going, oh yeah, these are sensations, right? And but it takes a lot of effort, even with somebody helping me, because I'm just distracting myself all the time. And I'm sitting, so I can sit there for an hour with the intention of feeling just sensations and going, it's not going to be blissful, it's just going to be what it's going to be. And yet I spend the whole hour distracted in a whole variety of ways, because that's what happens. And I don't know how to get that, but I do try to, anyway.
So Don, right now, just put your hand on your chest. And feel that connection, maybe the warmth of your hand and the on your chest. You don't need to describe it. Just feel it, and then maybe notice that you can breathing into the hand, or feeling the hand and your chest moving with the movement of your breath. Keep it simple.
I can feel the, you know, my hand on my chest, my heart is there, I think. Well, I don't know if my heart is there, do I? But anyway. But there's like some energy, thought, I would say thought energy or something between me and you, between me and this laptop, right? There's this energy, it's, well, self-consciousness and embarrassment and all that stuff, and thinking and thought energy.
That's my little mental chatter, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It seems like most of my energy is somewhere here in the thought space.
Dawn, you're just noticing that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And then you can go back to your hand, and don't do it for too long. Just do it a little bit, because you know, there's the need to divert, because there's not any habit patterns, or it just needs to have dedicated moments of just. And this is another silly thing, but a while ago, because I used to get into extreme sort of anxious nervous states, I would speak to my body as if it was like a really frightened little animal. You know, like, I don't know if you have any, I know that you didn't have a lot of, you went to see the horses not so long ago. Okay, can you imagine, or when you were young, did you read any animal stories like Black Beauty, or did any of those stories resonate with you?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so you can just somehow imagine that this meat suit, as Vanilla calls it, is like a little wild animal. And how would you start to allow a little wild animal or a big wild animal, whatever, to start to gain some, confidence and trust that it's okay to be touched, or, it's just like that, a little holding like that with an intention of calming, saying it's okay, just to start bringing a sense of safety, that there's some safety here, even while there's an awful lot of tension.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember Angela once said that thoughts can take much more space than they have. Like I thought, like I was lost in my mind and for an hour. It's just a thought in this moment. It can be true about the whole hour or the whole day. It takes more space than it has. I think that realizing this was helpful. It gives it, and usually there's sensations that it gives it more weight than it has. And usually there's a belief that I should not be lost in thoughts.
Yeah. Some of the, I guess, some of the ones that maybe Angela would call practice thoughts, how badly I'm doing my practice, how distracted I am, blah, blah, blah. And they seem very helpful, but some of them are very general and they're not necessarily true either.
Don, I wonder, have you ever, can you identify any experiences that you would say touched you in a way that was like a small heart opening, either by, say, sympathy, compassion, beauty?
Yeah, yeah. I can. Yeah.
So something where your mind was offline and something just touched your heart.
Oh, that's a tall order now. My mind being offline is a tall order now, David. I'm not sure if we can go that far.
But if your heart was touched, if you had that experience of a small heart opening, that does not involve your mind at all.
Yeah.
So did it
That's
happen?
good.
What it has
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
be touched. You can be touched like that in your daily life.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. I can. No.
What would be an example?
Um,
How about beauty?
Beauty has done that. It's funny how beauty has done that. Yeah. I went to see a documentary about Frank Gehry 15 years ago, and I was crying during it because it was just so, the architecture was so beautiful. Yeah. Funny. That's a good while ago now. But yeah.
How about sympathy? Have you
sympathy,
ever? Yeah.
it's weird. Yeah, I don't know. I just I don't know. I can't say very much, but I'm sort of mourning that a little bit. I met somebody a couple of years ago I was doing this non-duality thing with for a while, and we got on incredibly well. So we're not connected at the moment. So I'm sort of mourning the loss of that person because that I got a lot of that connection from her. So that was it sort of made me extra sad in the last few months. Because there was a heart-opening thing from there that I didn't expect really for the last year or two, and I'm sort of in a gap now.
Have you ever looked at someone else and felt compassion for no reason?
For no reason. What does for no reason mean? I don't know. I suppose. I don't think I'm really selfish. I'm just thinking about myself most of the time. But sometimes a little bit. But I can't think of an example right now. I really am. No, isn't it? Not even a joke. I am bloody selfish. I mostly think about myself.
And
Yeah,
you experience compassion towards yourself.
a little bit every now and then. Recently, a little flicker of it comes up for 3 seconds.
But you don't really deserve it, do you?
No, it normally doesn't think so. I don't think so, because I need to try harder and I need to all those things. And every now and then for a few seconds, it surprises me if even a thought comes and says, you know, I deserve to be treated well, or I don't deserve to be treated badly by someone or something. And if one thought like that comes and says that about me, I think, gosh, that's surprising. Whereas I could think that about someone else quite frequently, but about myself, it's much harder.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
How about a thought of wanting to help someone else?
Yeah. Sometimes I get that. Yeah. Not as often as I'd like, but sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I get that. It doesn't happen very much during the day, I'm afraid. Yeah, it was just yeah.
This might surprise you, Don, but I reckon given what you've been going through and how long you've been going through it and the intensity of it and everything, when you get over this, you are going to make a fantastic guide. You will be able to help a lot of people, believe me. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I actually think that might be true. Actually, people have said it to me before about I can explain stuff, and I've thought through the stuff, and I do think that's probably true. Yeah, it's a bit of a I think I can see through, or have looked through things. You know, I've thought, as you might imagine, thought through things quite a lot. But yeah, I think I can do, when I'm in a slightly better place, I can help people to see things more clearly. Yeah, thank you. I'm just a bit jaded from I mean, I've been blunt already, but I'm just jaded from being so fucking miserable, and it doesn't seem to break through. I kind of feel it's just going to go on and on and on.
Yeah, it must be exhausting.
Yeah, because I get about 4 or 5 hours sleep a night. I wake up at about 5 a.m. and I have some terrifying thought about my life being, you know, or whatever, and I don't get back to sleep. So I'm just exhausted the whole time. I mean, I'm better than I was 5 or 6 weeks ago. I was, but really just dragging myself through from one end of the day to the next, trying to get through the day without, and what I'm doing here, complaining too much. If I can get through the day without complaining too much and get to 6 p.m. and watch some non-duality videos, I've got through another day. That's how fun it is at the moment.
You're not complaining too much as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
You don't need to thank me.
Don, another practical suggestion. Have you ever thought of taking, it's not very comfortable, but have you ever thought of getting into a cold shower, or taking a shower in the morning and then turning the water on cold, full blast, and just staying in? It brings you into your body. You've got maybe the warmth in the beginning, because it's a bit too cruel to go straight away, but you've got the warmth, and then you say, oh, I'm just going to experience sensation. And you take away the label of cold, you go and you open yourself to sensation of the cold water. And that it's a huge like energy cleansing of your nervous system. It brings you into the body. And when you get out, because I make myself do that every day. It's like, okay, now you've got to have your cold water. And then you come out and there's just such a feeling of aliveness.
Okay. I did watch a lot of Wim Hof 2 or 3 years ago. So I did that every day for a few months. And I could try that again. Yeah, it isn't impossible to do.
It's not even having to do it like as any type of, I know what you mean with Wim Hof. And I was doing that too, but it's like, okay, let's keep it really simple so we don't have to be doing something. And then it's like, if I don't doing it perfectly and I don't have the time to do it perfectly, then I'm not going to do it. And then I'm a loser, you know, all that talk that gets in. It's just like turning the tap from hot to cold.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. I've done that before. It's not it's not impossible to do. It does clear your head a little bit, I think. Yeah.
And Don,
Well, in the body too, you know, because,
Mm.
and especially interesting to bring it in the sensation field, because you take away the label of the cold. And so by taking away the label of the cold and the shrinking away, you can say, can I open my body and relax into this sensation more?
Okay.
Because it's just a sensation. The same, and then even exploring the difference between, oh, what's the sensation of the hot and the sensation of the cold, and taking away like labels of preferences and things, just being really curious.
Okay. Yeah. I'll try that. I've done that before. I can do that again. It's not impossible. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
and I'd
I
like
do have very simple. Go on. Yeah.
I'd like to give you an exercise to do as well. Just to,
Oh,
so
cool.
2 things to do until we see you next time.
Okay.
Do that, and remember when you're doing that to dismiss the idea of cold and just ask, what am I feeling? Without the labels. What is the sensation? Right. But what I want to give you is this. I want to change the idea that all of these horrible thoughts that come along, the ones that are going to hijack you and take you into a dark place, right, that they are in fact your friend. They are there to help you. As horrible as they are, they're there to help you. So what I want you to do is every time you recognize that one of those has come along, or a group of them have turned up, or whatever, that you thank them for being there.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. I can try. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it won't be very genuine, my thanks somehow.
See what
but I'll
happens.
try.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter about
Yeah,
faith.
yeah.
Yeah.
In some
The,
cases.
the
Yeah.
point is the point is not to just do it automatically. The point is to consider that they're there to help you. They're your friend.
Yeah.
Even though they're horrible, they're your friend. They're trying to do the best thing they can for you.
Yeah. Ooh.
Don't worry about
Okay.
how or why. Just
Don't worry
say,
about how or
thank
why.
you for being here, you bastard. Thank you.
Because I want to start wondering about how and why, you know, why the one that says you're going to go insane, you're never going to get, you know, you're never going to, it's going to be worse. It's going to be, you know,
well,
I'm
as
like,
soon as you think it's going to be worse,
helping
you
me.
go, well, thank you, you bastard.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to try those 2. Standing in a cold shower, shouting at my thoughts. Brilliant. Cool.
If I can go in, I did the same. It helped me very much when I watched a TED talk about a schizophrenic woman who was hearing voices.
Oh yeah.
And she was able to befriend these voices. And it was like, well, if she could do it, then I can do it too.
That's fascinating. I may have seen that talk. I can go and look. Yeah, thank you. I may have seen that. Yeah, there was a woman. I think I might have the book, which I didn't read. But anyway, yes, thank you. Yeah.
At the risk of adding
Overwhelming.
more, but I think this actually relates to what Vince was just saying. For years, I had such a problem with getting lost in my thoughts and having them just ruminating and repeating, and I couldn't let them go. And I started practicing, the book that described it as morning pages, where it's
The Artist's
so
Way.
I guess maybe, yeah. Have you experimented or practiced just like letting the thoughts out and writing them down as they come and giving them
I
a
did that
place
for
to?
last year, the year before. I think I did it for 6 or 8 weeks, I think. Yeah, every day. Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Kind of frustrating because it seemed that the same old nonsense came out every day and nothing seemed to be different or change or evolve. It was just the same shit over and over. I don't know. Yeah. And I'm saying, maybe I'm expecting something. I mean, I suppose I am. I don't know. I feel bad for expecting something, but because I remember going to the Buddhist group a long time ago, and they go, come with no expectations. And I'm going, you didn't come on a Thursday in the rain and dark to have nothing good happen for you. You know, you're expecting, so I'm expecting something to happen from doing the morning pages for 6 to 8 weeks. And after a while, I'm going, it's the same old shit every day. What's going to happen? Anyway, sorry. Jeremy, did something interesting happen for you when you did it?
I found, at least for me, that the thoughts that wouldn't stop coming up slowed how frequently they came up. It was almost as if I was giving them space to be more real. So as Vince was saying, like thanking them, acknowledging them.
Okay.
It might, maybe your worldview now has changed enough from the last time you tried it that attempting it again might be a place to. One of the things that I found that was so fascinating is I'd be writing and then I would pause and then I would catch myself having a series of thoughts that I wasn't writing down, and I was like, "Oh, why am I filtering now what I'm putting on the paper?" But maybe letting I agree with what Rowena was saying in terms of feeling into the sensations of the body, and in a way, instead of, and I guess that's going one direction. And then I think there may be something valuable in going the complete opposite direction and letting the thoughts become even more, I guess I don't like the word real, but that's the one that comes to mind. It's like, okay, thought, you want to be here. I'm going to give you the respect and attention that you appear to be begging for, instead of coming up and up and up again and again and again. I'll write you down. I'll let you have more life than just bouncing around my head. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll see what happens with that. I don't know what. Yeah. I just feel like I don't know what everyone else feels like. I feel as usual. I feel bad for talking for so long as usual, but it just feels like I could be. Is this what we're not talking about all the time? Like I feel like I could be in stories forever, and the stories would never end. They were just more and more stories and fantasies and more stories and good and bad stories, and there's no end. There's an infinite number of stories, and there's no end to them. And I'm going, when people say just watch your thoughts and just allow them, I'm going, yeah, but I think I could stay in stories for decades or centuries, and there would be an infinite supply of stories. And I don't know what I'm getting from that. I'm either getting upset or I'm distracting myself, or I'm just all the different directions, and they're just a load of stories about me, whoever I am, different versions of me. And and I genuinely, I noticed it recently again, like when I'm sitting with my sensations or whatever, I'm not really all the way down there, but it's going to be quite, difficult. And I would much prefer to go and tell a fantasy story for several hours about something I'd like to happen, which I know isn't true, because it makes me feel better than sitting with my sensations. And I can do that for half the day. And I go, is that what you mean by just allowing your thoughts, going into a fantasy story for several hours and telling myself something that isn't true because it makes me feel better? It doesn't feel like the right thing. I feel I should be more, I don't know, it just confuses me.
I feel Pernilla sitting here would say, if anytime you're going into your thoughts, stories, that it's a diversion from some sort of sensation in your body.
Yeah.
And I just got this sense that there's sensations that if you would find yourself falling into this never-ending story, that there's the sensation there that would never go, that would never go away until you can be with it, sit with it, allow it to be there.
Yeah. So then I'm back to it was ridiculous. I'm back to my vigilance / discipline thing of I'm never going to stop being here in the present moment, however hard it is. And I just somehow feels like the right thing to do. I just can't do it right now. I didn't make that commitment this time last year, I did Angelo's online retreat in January. I was like, right, that's a week. I'm going to make it a month. No, I'll make it a year. I'm just going to be on retreat for the whole year. I'm going to go to work on a few things because I have to, but otherwise it's just going to be sitting for the whole year. And I did as many hours every single day as I could. And I was like, this is what I need to do because I just need to sit here. Otherwise I'm going to be distracted and there's no point to that. And just right now I'm just in a bad place and I can't sit for very long. So, and it seems like ridiculous. This is my teeth gritting approach to relaxation, you know, but that's sometimes how it feels. I need to do it because otherwise I'm going to be in a story forever. I don't know.
I'm laughing because I heard you say, like, you're pissed off that you're never going to stop being in the present moment. And everyone else is searching for that. I would just want to live in the now. And you seem to be upset about that.
I'm pissed off that I need to, what am I saying? No, what did I say? No, that I'm never going to, I'm never going to stop distracting myself from it or something, or I need to get myself to stay here or something like that. Yeah. It seems like a very simple choice. Even maybe this is just a mind saying this. This is me being black and white, dualistic, talking about non-dualism, but like there's a choice between being here and being in some thought and worrying about stuff that I can't fix. I'm going, that just sounds very simple. Should I just not choose not to think about stuff that I can't change? Sounds simple.
So you really
But I
believe
don't
you've got a choice about that? You really believe you've got a choice about that?
Sometimes
You got a
I
choice
do.
about what comes up? Have you got a choice about all this shit that's going on all the time?
I don't know, and yet I feel I have a choice. I feel I should try not to let it take me away, or try not to be distracted, or something.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah,
So
or try.
You not only don't have a choice about whether you can do it or not, you know that because you can't not do it. You've tried that, haven't you? So you can't not do it. So there's no choice about doing it or not doing it.
I've tried not doing it. I have applied vigorous amounts of discipline at times, and after hours and hours and hours of it, I can get myself to stay. Like, yeah, exactly the kind of way if you met a frightened dog, like Irina was suggesting, I wouldn't treat a frightened dog.
So
but
that's how you tell yourself that you really do have a choice, because you can get there if you work really, really super hard at it. Eventually you can get some inkling of it. So therefore you do have a choice. You do have control. You're just too something, too lazy. Yeah. Too
lazy. Yeah.
To not be able to do it all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I can do it. I mean, if I go after it for 3 or 4 hours straight without stopping, I can usually calm myself down.
Right. So therefore you're also convinced that effort is your way out.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
So you've got a choice, and if you use effort, you'll get there. And because you don't do it enough, you're a lazy bastard.
Yeah. I mean, spontaneous something or other could happen any time, but I guess one of my beliefs is that I make a joke about what's it called, terminal uniqueness sometimes, but genuinely, like, I just think the amount of habit, the amount of thought habit that's here, I kind of go, maybe it's possible that, lots of people, it's awakening is possible for most people, for many people, for anybody, but maybe it's also possible that this amount of distraction here can keep me distracted forever until I die. And it just feels scary to me sometimes. I think I just really, I don't know.
It would be no worse than this if it kept on forever until you died, would it?
No, I suppose there's a small bit of hope there, or optimism that I can undo this or something, that almost the only thing keeping me together is the hope this isn't forever, this I can undo or get out of this place, because this isn't enjoyable. The only thing that makes this bearable is that I have optimism that it isn't forever, or that I can, it isn't, something like that.
Do you ever forget all of this and do something else?
When's the last time I managed that?
You ever go to art museums?
I haven't for a little while. The cinema sometimes does that. Forgetting completely is almost impossible. I'm trying to search. I really have to search back for decades to find a single time
I
when
keep
I
wondering,
forgot.
the thing I keep wondering about is if there's another dimension of experience that is your way in, and not this. That
Yeah.
this is only going to go by way of the mind, and that there's another dimension of the experience altogether that is your road.
That's funny. Yeah, somebody said that to me before. A therapist said, because I had told him the thing about crying at the Frank Gehry documentary, and he's like, why don't you go through beauty instead and, you know, look at buildings and stuff. That might be true. I don't know what it is yet, though.
Yeah. There's no point, because you don't deserve it. Yeah.
No.
Johan, just jump in if you want to say something. Don't
thanks.
ask for permission.
Yeah. So I relate to the experience of the struggle, like the parent struggle, you know, and the mind going into so many stories. And it seems that stillness is needed, but not forcing anything and not trying to fix anything, because we are just trying to experience like who we are. And so anything like chasing outside is like pulling. Of course, practices are needed until we like get to that, but and the thoughts, the programming has been like, I also got like the experience of frustration, or I still get like a lot, but trying to get it, you know, we're so trained to trying to get it like intellectually or, you know, thinking wise, that itself is like distraction. That there's like a right answer to get, something like that. And what I'm exploring is this Robert Adams. He's kind of he's very hardcore on this, like to whom does this occur? So you get this story and like, oh, I'm so afraid of this, or so to whom does this thought occur? And there's like, is there, and then just give time to that without trying to get to the answer. And apparently that extinguishes like the excessive thought clouds by itself, because you're going to the source of who you are. And we are what we're searching for to experience. No? So, and because I think I have to fix myself, you know, all these years of like self-development and meditation, I think there's something wrong with me. There's something I have to fix. I'm not worthy. When am I gonna get good? When am I gonna get, you know, I'm not in balance. Like, so then again, like who wants balance? Like, and just look from that. And keep asking that question apparently reduces the amount of thoughts dominating my attention span. Yeah.
That works. Well, you find that works over time, or it works when you do it that way.
Yeah, it seems very powerful, and it's so simple that it's impossible, like, you know, to go wrong with it. Like, yeah. And it doesn't take you to like a dark place or anything, and it's not about like getting to the answer. So yeah, I filled my flat with this kind of thoughts, you know, these kind of statements that helps to remind that. Yeah. And the stillness part, it's hard like to even sit down for a moment, because one somehow action wants to occur and thinking, keeping active all the time. So there's this search, like this search is so strong, right? But just to sit down like this has been, yeah, it seems to be needed, the practice. Yeah.
That's interesting. Thanks. Funny, I was going to say, doesn't matter how long I sit, my thoughts don't calm down. After I just said I was able to calm myself down with discipline just a few minutes ago, but I think it was a combination of discipline and constantly listening to Angela or someone else, and some little bit of inspiration just clicks in every now and then. I do find it funny. I listen to Angela talking about watching for the next thought, and he says, "Oh, if you just do that, the thoughts will slow down." And I'm like, "Nope, nope, they won't."
Yeah.
That's
And
funny.
then you can ask, like, who needs the thoughts to slow down?
Yeah, I do ask that.
What
do.
comes to mind, Don, when you ask that question? Who is thinking these thoughts? Who wants them to slow down? Who wants them to be different? What comes to mind?
I'm looking for who, and I try to find. I find a who. I find a feeling of me, or a. And also, I guess there's the intellectual answer of there's no one there, and I go, no, wait for that. That's not the answer. And I look, and I kind of don't find anyone, and yet I react as if there is someone believing, because it feels like I believe the thoughts, and I look and I don't find, and I find myself reacting, and I go, no, but it must be, and I keep looking, and very, very few occasions, every now and then, I can see it kind of seems like the whole process of a thought and an emotional reaction happening, and another thought going, oh, you believe that one, didn't you? And an emotional reaction, and I can see and feel those things and go, those are just thoughts and reactions to thoughts. And there's no one doing that. It's just a pattern. But very infrequently can I step back far enough to see that.
What you were saying before about how you can know that a thought's not true, yet you still believe it. That's a tricky little thing, and I think that exists in the same thing here, eh? You know that there's nobody there that it's happening to, yet there's still a feeling like there is somebody.
Yeah, there's a feeling of, even with, I call it presence, as I always say, I feel embarrassed talking about presence because I'm so confused. How could I possibly have any, perception or whatever the word is of presence? But there's a sense of the present or presence or this, and then there's this feeling of confusion that's just creeping and feels very powerful, and a feeling of anxiety that's just like a 90% of my experience, and it can jump to being 100% at any moment whenever it wants to, kind of feeling. And yet the presence is here, and I'm going, I can see this. This is, well, a little bit of this, and I'm going, why do I, whoever I am, why, like, I go, like, if this is what's true, or if this is what I am, why do I not just settle into that? Why do I so want to be in a shitty, miserable, thought-created space? It's ridiculous.
Remember to thank him.
Oh yeah. Anyway, ask somebody else, Vince.
You're taking up too much time. You don't deserve it, right? Okay.
I don't deserve the time. Yeah.
Okay. How's it traveling, Rebecca?
Oh, this has all been very interesting. That I really related to what the conversation with Melly, and I realized that I'm just the opposite of Don. I hardly ever think at all. But I remembered as he was speaking that I used to, when I was in my 20s, 30s, I would get tangled up that same way, and somehow that ended. And then people were talking about morning pages, and I remembered about 20 years ago, I was doing morning pages, and it was, oh yeah, the same old shit. Here I am writing the same old shit. And what happened was I thought, oh, well, in that case, there's no point in writing that anymore. Why should I even bother to think it? And it went away, and I ended up writing a book instead, which was much more fun. But what I really wanted to talk about was something that's been strange happening to me lately. I've been doing this kind of work for, decades, and I've ended up in the last, at least one decade, maybe two, feeling very happy and very contented and very kind of in love with the world and in awe of whatever I see when I wake up. And And over the last few months, I've watched most of Pernilla's videos. It's given me a whole new bunch of stuff to think about. And I went back, I did them all, and then I went back to the second fetter because I thought her trauma was really, really good, really interesting. And I did a little bit of feeling into a sensation that's connected to a story about my childhood. And I'm not sure, I don't know about, there's a whole kind of missing piece here, but what's happened to me lately is that I've started to be very irritable. I get angry at the vacuum cleaner that won't follow me. I get angry that the water's not hot yet, or that the water's not cold yet, or that I can't find a pencil, or, you know, all these things that, it's all new to me. I'm not used to being that way. And I'm irritable with my husband. Just stop chewing so loudly, you know, just really silly things. And I told him about it. I said, you know, don't worry about it. This is just some stuff that's coming up, and I think it has to do with some anger that I always identified as a kind of sadness and a feeling abandoned, that kind of felt sense, but that I began to get in touch with. Wait a minute. And so I think that's what's happening, but it's not something I want to be doing in my life, and it's not something that I want to inflict on other people. But it just comes boom like that. It's just, ew, I don't like this, and then it goes away, and it totally goes away.
Seen straight away. Eh?
But
seen straight away.
Yeah,
Happens. Yes.
yeah, and I'm aware of doing it. I'm right there when I'm doing it, and I'm doing it anyway. I'm not telling myself I shouldn't be doing it. What I'm telling myself is, well, I wonder what this is.
There's no story that it's going to happen, keep happening forever and ever.
No, I don't have that story. The story I have is, oh, well, this will get me to the bottom of it. And
Absolutely.
And then I'll be even more happy.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting how you know you think, oh well, you know that all that stuff is gone, and then all of a sudden
it's not gone.
It appears, yeah, boom, up it comes, yeah.
And it is like a spiral. It's come up in a slightly different way. It's a new take on it that has
the suddenness of it and the intensity of it can be a little bit off-putting. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, and it's off-putting for other people, and that's the part that I don't like about it.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't know.
What I would find interesting, that happens for me a bit too, quite a bit actually, and I don't try and explain it or whatever. I'll apologize for it happening, but I don't try and explain it anymore. You know, I'm not. That's another diversion away from it, and so it's appropriate to. Yeah. So of course, when it does affect other people, you apologize for it, but you don't need to explain to them. Yeah.
And not the whole story, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. This stuff. You know, yeah. Maybe it's second feta stuff, maybe not, I don't know. It's probably a lot more later feta stuff than that, but
yeah, I keep waiting for her to go on. What more?
Yes. Yeah, well, she's when she gets into the sixth feta stuff, I think that's where you'll find that this fits a lot more, but it's stuff that was held at a cellular level. It's not held in, you know, it's not a memory thing. It's not a mental thing. It's held. It's stuff that pre-verbally we remembered it with our bodies. You know,
Yeah, that's really true. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's probably why I can't get any stories with it. It doesn't
Yeah.
have any.
Yeah. But it will pass. It'll pass.
It'll run some kind of
Because you're not
course.
trying to suppress it and repress it and deny it and bypass it, because of none of that's happening, it'll work itself out nicely. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm kind of, in a way, there's a part of me that's enjoying it because
Yeah.
it's like this burst of energy.
Yeah.
Fuck
there's
you,
kind of a
go
sweetness
away.
to it. Yeah. And
So you think it'll
frightening
just,
as the intensity is, it's kind of it's juice, it's real juice, you know. It's
it is.
yeah.
So you think that it will run some kind of course? It will be some sort of, will it just go on and then go away, or will it kind of change and become more?
My imagination, my thoughts say immediately that no, it'll go away. It'll go away as fast as it came, and there's no need for you to actually experience the details of what's behind it. You know, that's not necessary. You know, just the mere fact that you're accepting it is all that's required. You know, and recognizing it, that it's happening, not denying it, not repressing it, not, you know, any of that stuff. That's all that's required. You know, it's just like the body having, it's like a pimple. It's just like the body doing what the body does, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's very helpful. That's very helpful. That's very reassuring. Thank you.
What were your thoughts as Don was talking? What came up to you about Don's dilemma?
Oh, that he's just tangled up in a thought, and it's all just a thought that he doesn't need, but that he's holding on to for some important reason. There's something he's afraid of that he can't, that he thinks thinking is going to protect him from.
Yes. So there you go. So that's what I said, Don. That's why you accept them as your friend, because they're protecting you from that thing that's worse, whatever that is. Yeah.
But it won't turn out to be worse.
It'll be real as well, but yeah, it's the fear.
It's not really worse. It's the getting twisted up in thoughts is about as bad as it gets.
And that's what it's all about as well. This thing, like the main challenge we have, perhaps, to experiencing ourselves.
Yeah, so the trap is that you get sucked into thinking that what the thoughts are about is important, but it's not what they're about at all. It's the mere fact of their existence is the job that they're there to do.
And you get sucked into thinking that the thinking about what they're doing is important.
Yeah. We assume that they're real and it's true.
But they're nothing. They're just wisps. They're just clouds. They're just nothing. They're just happening up here. They're just nothing.
What would you tell Don, Bianca? What would you tell Don? You don't have to tell him anything, but if any thoughts came up, yeah. Don will grasp at any straw we throw him, any straw at all.
I come back in.
Sure, of course.
Bianca, do you want to? Do you want to say something before?
Oh, I think Dom knows everything.
Yeah, what comes to me is when you're lost in thought, like you can't find your way out by thinking about it, because that's just thought entangling itself in itself. You can't come out, try to find your way out by thinking, how do I find my way out? What I would do is just pick one thought, whatever, pick one of those. It's like Katie calls them little children. It's like they're children and they're screaming for your attention, like, hear me, or see me, I have something to tell you. And then you just pick one and then you write it down. And there's a helpline for the work, which is free. And I am on the helpline sometimes. And also I can, I'm open to having a session and just picking one of those thoughts and writing it down and questioning it. And in that way, it's like you're not trying to push them away, because thoughts are like air, like can you make, like, or the wind, can you make the wind stop? You can't. Like you're fighting a ghost. We're fighting a ghost.
I'm sorry. I know now it came what I wanted to say, and it's a bit different. It's but the problem are no thoughts. In depression, I had thoughts like, no, I'm an awful person, and then after the depression, I had the same thought. I'm an awful person, and then it was, so what? The problem was with emotional response. The thoughts can be all the same. And I'm not really sure what to do with it, because the response just comes, and I have no control over it. It is as it is. With depression, yes, I have meds.
A few times I was listening to Rebecca and David, I guess. In particular, I was thinking, I may have I've said this before. A few times recently, I'm just talking, as you can tell. Noticing what fear there might be from being involved in thinking. And sometimes I don't know if it's a thought or a feeling of, I've said it before, like that everyone I know is only in the stories. I mean, here you are over here, I can see you, right? Well, sort of on the computer, but feels like everybody I know is in stories, and there isn't the thing David was talking about connection. I don't really, the place I would go to if I dropped the stories is a place of no connection, of no love, of just being alone, and helplessness and powerlessness, and just total aloneness and just emptiness, proper fucking emptiness now, not the good kind, right? And just aloneness and just ugh. And it feels like that, and I'm going, oh, let's go there, feel the sensations, that's where I'm going, because that's where it is. I feel like I'm probably trying to avoid probably trying to avoid, and maybe that's all a story. I don't know. Maybe it must be a story. Anyway, I feel I'm trying to avoid that place of like complete disconnection, aloneness, and powerlessness, and just empty. That kind of.
Right. So immediately I have this response to that says, that's really good. What you've done is you have elucidated the thing that you're most afraid of, and that's the reason why what you've got now is better than that. Yeah, that's why you've got this, what you've got now, because it's better than that place that you just described.
Yeah. It
But
feels
don't
like
start-
is like, that's what do you call that? Purgatory. That's that place that you were talking about. That's pretty bad. Yeah. So definitely thank these thoughts that you've got coming along, because they're stopping you from getting into that place.
When you said that, Don, I said, hallelujah. Look,
Yeah.
he knows what it is.
Yeah.
I've had the thought that if I lived near you, Don, I would come and pick you up on a weekend and we would go to an animal rescue or a hospital and you to just have that connection with. Have you ever had the experience of seeing someone who's worse off than you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
did your heart go to them? And you had that?
Now that you remind me, yeah, I knew somebody, I haven't seen her for a little while, but strangely who struggles even more than me with depression and all that stuff. And it helps me to be there and not think about myself for a short while. Yeah.
But it's what I'm trying to get at is that those little movements of the heart that are not any of this, they're completely not analytical or thinking or doing anything. It's just an opening, like a melting.
Mm.
And that's a way in.
Okay.
And it's not,
it's pretty scary though. If Don lets that happen, he's going to end up in this other horrible place. He's got to be a bit careful about that. He doesn't want to get into that other place.
It's warmth.
You might,
it's like a spark of warmth.
Yeah. As
opposed to cold thinking and analysis.
Yeah, but the fear is that warmth is going to melt his armor, and he'll be helpless.
You want to be helpless.
You want to be.
You want to let that warmth take you, and you won't even need to think about it. It'll render that just useless.
That kind of makes, I mean, sometimes, well, not for you. Yeah. What was I saying? If it takes me out of myself and I'm potentially helping or being there for someone else. I mean, I'll be really honest once again, like I'm so bloody selfish. Like if I see a dog that looks like it's in trouble, I'm like, oh no, do I have to take this home and take responsibility? I don't have the time for this nonsense. I'm not going to do that. I want to live my own life and worry about my own. Or if I meet someone in a hospital who feels bad, I'm genuinely that selfish. I'm just kind of just thinking about myself. Would I get sick like this? Would this happen to me? Rather than maybe it would spontaneously happen that I would actually turn out to be a nice person at some point for a few minutes. But it's ridiculous how I make it about myself so quickly. Anyway, I do hear you, David. I do remember what you tell me, even though it sounds like I dismiss what you tell me. I do remember it. And
Right, like if we went to an animal rescue, you wouldn't have to remember anything. There wouldn't be anything to remember from it. It would just be in your body.
Yeah.
You would take it with you in your body without even knowing it.
And would you go, like you're going, you would bring me there to bring someone home from there, would you, to bring a dog home or something?
No, just to stop talking and thinking.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Force a puppy on you.
Sounds like
You
this
can't
might
even
take
look
some,
after yourself, let alone somebody else.
it sounds like this might take something like faith, that there is something besides getting tangled up in thoughts, and that there is warmth that you can live in that doesn't hurt. But you have to take it on faith now because you don't know.
I don't know. That's what I was trying to semi-joking about that earlier when I said I've been proud of being an atheist for so long, and now I wish I had some faith, a little bit, but I don't know how to believe in anything or something. It
Well,
doesn't
you
feel,
can't let yourself at this stage, the way I see it is that somehow you have to discover that that purgatory that you described isn't real. Right. But at the moment it feels real for you. And I think you've got to respect that. Right. So you
yeah,
don't want to go there. So you can't let your defenses down. You've got to keep your armor up. And that your armor is all these horrible thoughts. You've got to keep them until you can discover that that purgatory is just a fantasy that's not real. But how are you going to discover that? That's another story. Now, what David's suggesting might give you a glimpse of that. Right. That's it. But don't let your armor down straight away. You know, you don't want to go there on faith because, you know, you're just going to frighten the shit out of yourself and you'll be right back where you started from. So somehow you've got to discover that it's not real. But at the moment it feels real and therefore it is real for you. And I think you've got to respect that. That's important that you respect that. That's just my take on it. I mean, I could be totally wrong here, but yeah, that's the
I
way.
mean, my goal as usual, my gung-ho approach is to try to go there as often as I can and see it and see through it and understand, or whatever, not understand, but
Yeah, no. I think that if you force yourself to go there, you're just going to find trickier and trickier and trickier ways to keep away from it.
well, that's been my experience. Yeah. There's
Maybe it's
almost,
just being open to allowing your heart to be touched.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll can give you a glimpse of it. That it's okay that's not really the way that you're not. You know, you're never going to be alone. You know, being big-hearted and open is connection with everybody and everything.
And the world is nothing but opportunity for you to feel compassion there. I mean, because it's even rougher than it is in your mind. There's a lot out there that's a lot worse.
Yeah.
And so you're like, you have a heart and it's waiting to be touched. And the world is filled with beings that are waiting to be touched. That there's such a need. The world is so wounded, and you have every opportunity to connect with that and help where your help may be needed. And then you're not trying to help yourself in that, because where have you gotten with all this self-help and analysis?
Nowhere.
Maybe
Yeah.
because it's all been a mind road. So now try a heart road, and it's just a matter of allowing that touch to come to you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I'm just thinking of a few small times that I feel I helped people, I guess in this context, and it felt totally different from trying to help myself.
Yeah. Well, there's another reality too, and that is that the majority of the world runs around, you know, in that thought level world, and so it's pretty hard to find authenticity out there, you know. But once you get to the point where you start guiding people, you'll be having these kind of conversations all the time, right? So you will be in an authentic environment. You will be where people are open and the connection is Wow, there,
Yeah.
big time.
What about a little experiment of finding, just seeing someone who needs something and giving it,
Okay.
giving something to someone? Do you know that experience, right? Of giving something and what that feels like?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. It does. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Take some food and share it with a homeless person.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They tell you to piss off. That'll be an
Well,
interesting one too. Yeah.
that could be true too. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And see what's happening in your heart when you do that.
Yeah. I don't do that very much. Yeah, I did actually look up soup kitchens a few times because Paul Ketterman's always talking about soup kitchens, and I've never gone to one of those, but maybe a thing to do.
Yeah, just go and observe. It'll be a pretty eye opener. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
it could just be making eye contact with someone on the street who needs it.
Yeah, yeah. I do sometimes do that. I wasn't, maybe it was way too long ago now. It's embarrassingly long ago, but I made eye contact with somebody outside of a shop one time and they asked me for money or asked me to get them something. And will you get me something in the shop? And I was thinking, oh yeah, I'll get them a sandwich or something. But of course they wanted a box of cigarettes. And I went in, it was €14 for a box of cigarettes. I'm like, you fucking joking me, €14 for cigarettes. So I got them the cigarettes. I just thought it was funny how expensive they'd got, This is what they wanted. Didn't want a sandwich. Anyway, it was funny.
Don, right in this moment, do you feel connection, compassion for me and the others who are here?
No, I feel separate. I feel defended. I feel wrong. Yeah. No, but I think if I were helping someone here, which I feel I couldn't possibly do because I'm useless, right? That would be different. But yeah, no, I don't. No, I don't. I feel, yeah.
Listen, I got to tell you, you help a lot of people by being useless. Believe me. A lot of people watch these videos and they will like I've seen so many comments about people that identify with you. It's just amazing. Yeah.
That's funny,
So
yeah.
being totally useless is really helpful to a lot of people.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah.
They'd be thankful.
Can I ask Don a different question? Don,
Yeah.
why do you keep coming here? Why do you keep doing this work?
Good question. Validate your uselessness.
Yeah. I mean, it can't be okay. There can't be zero connection then, can there? Right, in answer to Jeremy's question, it feels okay. Yeah, I'm trying to learn something. I guess I'm trying to learn something, and it feels like a nice. I suppose the word Vince used, authentic. It feels kind of okay. Yeah. So there can't be zero connection, can there? I suppose there's it's like it's a little bit easier to be me here and one or two little places, not very many places. It's a little bit easier to be me. My friend I used to talk to before, she used to ask me about, say, how people loved me and liked me and stuff. And I could just get as far when I was saying, I can, every now and then when I'm very optimistic, I can go, I think people feel toleration when they're with me. That's how I feel. I'm being tolerated. So I come here to be tolerated for 3 hours on a Saturday. I think it's the most cheerful experience of my week. I think I've been tolerated for 3 hours. It's better than the rest of my week. So that's how much love I'm feeling here. I'm being tolerated. So the authenticity and honesty and openness and whatever, it just really helps me to, yeah.
Helps you to what? Helps you to what? What do you believe that you can get to?
Helps me. Oh, I guess, well, helps me. What did I say? I mean, it just feels easier to be here. It helps me to, well, does it help me? Oh, I suppose, what does it do? Helps me to believe it's possible, helps me to get towards some faith that it's possible to be, It makes me feel a bit less wrong every moment of the week. And though would help me to believe that it's possible not to feel wrong all the time. If I can be tolerated for 3 hours twice a week, you know. Yeah, really, it sounds like a joke, but it's a bit, maybe a bit like that. Just
So
feeling
Don,
of being wrong all the time.
can you explain to me why I feel good when I see you here?
You must be deranged in some way, Vince. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, I certainly could be deranged. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I do. When I see your face, or when I first see your name come up, I always feel good about it. Yeah.
It feels wrong. I can't genuinely, I'm so can't believe that. It's just impossible. I'm just going, no, people, and this is another belief I have. People are just being polite. That's the only reason anyone would smile or be, it was just politeness. I cannot, mostly can't, mostly can't. And
It's
only
been a
the
long
very
time
odd
since
time.
somebody accused me of being polite.
It's ridiculous. I'm talking too much again. But I did have that experience a few times recently. I was a person I was mentioning before. It went beyond politeness. I thought, oh, here's someone who actually likes me. I don't get that very much. I don't like, I may get people who like me quite a lot, but I don't get the experience of
Being
accepting it.
Yeah.
Very much.
Well, thanks a
And
lot, guys.
another-
I'm deranged too, because I feel that same connection with you, Don. Appreciation for you being here in these conversations. So
And
thanks a
another
lot.
great, another great experience of being here is like that. It's not so easy to talk to just anyone about this stuff. It sounds like, sounds like nothing. What you go through.
Yeah. No, that's true. It isn't so easy. Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to although I do talk to other people. Everyone says I never talk to, I talk to anyone about, because I think if I went to a holiday in Spain for 2 weeks, I'd be talking about that to my friends. So I just talk to them, even though it pretty bores the hell out of them, of course.
Yeah, same here. They would think like this guy has gone, but I still do it, testing my friends. And when you say, like, for example, we practice like to realize that it's just a thought, and then you hear this friend talking about the story, that's their life, they're suffering from something, and it can sound very incompassionate to say, but that's just a thought. It like, I can imagine that when you hear it from the other side, it's like so uncomfortable, because I'm experiencing that as like the be all end all of my reality.
A little bit sometimes. To be honest, most of my friends who have no interest in this whatsoever and do no meditation are better at being in the present moment and not getting involved in their thoughts than I am. But the odd time I come across somebody, I met somebody I hadn't seen for a year or so, and he just spent the whole day complaining about the city and about administration, about banks, about phone companies. And I was kind of standing back going, gosh, you don't have to get involved. In my head, I was thinking, you don't have to go down all those thought paths because you're just making yourself upset. So I thought I made that much progress.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. So
it's easier.
Even though you're there yourself, you can see it when other people are causing their own suffering.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to see it in others, right? So it's a step. We're getting there.
A little bit. Yeah. A little bit.
Something just occurred to me, Don. You were talking earlier about having, being an atheist for so long and not having any faith. I might argue that you have an enormous amount of faith in your thoughts.
Yeah.
You haven't lost the faith. You just put it in a different place, or it's in a different place than religion.
Yeah, that's true, actually. And I did hear Paul Hederman using that word a couple of times, and I felt like a challenge. And I was like, because I thought it only took me a couple of years to undo my belief in God completely, until the point it was completely obvious to me that, well, the God that I grew up with and, Christian, whatever, it just seemed made up. I was completely happy with that. And then Paul Hederman was saying a similar thing to you. And I'm going, that sounds like a challenge, because I should be able to undo this, whatever I'm believing in here, these thoughts or this, whatever. I've been trying for longer. It's taking me longer than it took me to stop believing in God. I haven't achieved it yet, but I think you're, oh yeah, I mean, you must be right, yeah.
Did
But-
you use your thoughts to undo your belief in religion and God?
Yeah, I think so. But I looked at my experience as well. There was a whole range of things, but I observed people and I thought to myself, it seemed to me many people were just afraid of death and afraid of something else. And then a variety of things and layers of things I looked at. And over time, it's whether it was all thought, but it just seemed over time that bit by bit, it seemed more likely that there was no God in the way that people described it, or at least the people I knew who said they believed. I thought, are you just doing that because you were told faith was important, because you were afraid of death, because you want your granny to have gone somewhere nice when she died, a bunch of things, or because you never thought about it before? I bit by bit, I was like, it just sounds like nonsense to me. It's all very dogmatic and so on. And it seemed more likely, I thought, and coming from the other side, I thought people would prefer to have something cheerful to believe in than to have nothing. So they'll quite likely come up with something and agree amongst themselves. Let's believe in this because we all prefer to have something to believe in, because not believing anything sounds terrible. And everyone nods and goes, yeah, let's believe in something. And so all these various bits together, I just felt like it became like 99%. I thought, that's enough. I don't need to go the last percentage. It seems like there's no God. I'm not going to go anywhere after I die. That's fine. And I was quite happy with that. But I guess my thoughts, I suppose it was my thoughts. Yeah. Sorry, did you have a sense that it must have been something else than thoughts?
No. But another thing that just came up is this whole non-dual and awakening thing. Is it just another set of beliefs that we're all here and other people are there and other teachers are there, just telling, in the same way that you were describing people who follow religion as like, oh, they're just believing things that other people told them. Are you resisting believing in what we're telling you, in what other awakening and non-dual teachers are telling you, because you're not experiencing it yourself?
Oh yeah, I think I've resisted every single step of it. Yeah. Like I had an experience 23 or 4 years ago I didn't expect, and then I tried to figure out what that was for a long time and gave up. I mean, I went to see Francis de Sales 2.5 years ago, and I was against everything he was saying. And I remember sitting there going, what am I doing here? I need to put these beliefs to one side for a while and just listen to what he's saying. And I made an effort to put my beliefs on the chair beside me and go, I'm going to listen. So I'm trying to be open, but I have resisted. Yeah. And now I'm just trying, but I feel a bit more like a believer now, a little bit. I'm kind of going, I want to move those things aside as much as I can and be as open as I can and see where the experiences, see if I can build on, I don't know to build on the experiences, but yeah, be open to it. And the experiences are, whatever little bit of experience I have is really real. And I don't deny that, but I don't know how to take what people are saying. I mean, yeah, I mean, but I'm just saying, if I resist, like if you or someone else here said something to me, it would either be understood by the mind and I go, I don't know, or it would be, I don't know, understood, recognized or something. If there's a recognition, sometimes it just happens. And I remember binge watching Paul Hedman for a whole 3 months, 2 years ago. And just so many things would click into place. And I'm like, what was that? No idea what that was. And things would click and I had no idea what I was understanding. I couldn't repeat it to you at all. The same minute it happened, I couldn't repeat it. But there was all these little clicks and things opened up for a while. And if I asked myself, what was that I just understood? I was like, no idea what that was. Yeah.
I want to play on that quote from Locke Kelly that you mentioned earlier. The what's here now when there's no problem to solve. What's here now if I don't have to believe anything? Or what's here now when I don't have to understand anything? Does that,
Yeah. There's some clarity following that question.
is the clarity in your head or in your body?
Maybe more in my head. But there's still that same, well, I can feel Alan shouting at me now. He's not even here. There's that sort of the doubts are going to come, or, you know, already starting. And the very first doubt is just the thought that the thoughts are going to come. And it's I'm going to be overwhelmed by thought of some kind is the first thought. Anyway, but yeah, it feels, I don't know whether it's just in my head. I don't know what clarity in my body would be like exactly.
But you can see something that triggers the threat of those thoughts coming, and that something is kind of like a clarity or something. But even though that's very almost imperceptible, you've felt enough of that for this threat of these other thoughts to get triggered just then.
Yeah. I mean, the thoughts are usually there, but the thought that says thoughts are going to get you kind of comes when I have some clarity.
Yes, yeah, they don't come by themselves. It takes that little bit of clarity to trigger them.
And that's kind of been, I guess, I've been noticing that one for some, you know, I guess since Angelo's retreat last July, when there was a little bit bigger clarity arose for me then. And but I just wasn't able to see through whatever this identity or whatever you want to call it. And there was a good lot of space at times, but this little thought thing was, it's funny, as I say, like a few weeks after Violet brought me through that, and I'll just ramble for a second if you don't mind. I mean, a few weeks after that retreat, and it was my friend who I went with who had really encouraged me to go back to it repeatedly and remember and explain to her what I had seen, and it was helpful. And then I saw another different non-duality guy, and then I saw Violet the following week. And I said, I had this experience, and I described it, and then I said, but I feel a bit identified right now, Violet. So I'm not really clear. I'm just kind of relating it from memory and not from experience right now. And she said, can you drop the belief that you're identified right now? And she said it really straight, and I was like, oh, I can actually, and just did. Kind of, it felt like I did. I mean, it was doubts, but anyway, I think it did. And we were able to just be present with whatever consciousness was doing for 40 minutes. And I was crying. I was so grateful that.
Yeah, she's really good. I had a session with her too. She's great.
Yeah, she was really cool. And I think, I don't know, I'm maybe being bad, but I felt like she thought I was so close. She organized, I think, maybe I'm wrong. She organized a session with Angelo for me. And I saw him for about 6 weeks later. I had done a 10-day retreat on my own, and I got into a bad place with fear and stuff. And by the time I saw him, I was totally distracted, and he couldn't get through to me. He spent an hour, and he was going, he said something like, I've seen this before. You've seen half of Moo and you haven't seen the other half. And he said it was probably because of childhood trauma. He didn't know how long it would take me to see through the thoughts that were stopping me. I could see clearly the first half I described to him, and the second half was believing my thoughts. It was just, I couldn't. And I feel even now, even though I'm in a bad place now, that I'm not as bad as I was then. That was last September. Really confused and believing the thoughts couldn't be stopped. And I mean, no, not so much that, but that I couldn't stop being distracted by them. It was still, and even after an hour of him hammering away at me, I was still like unbelievably distracted. I could barely keep my attention on what he was saying while I was sitting there on the Zoom call with him. I just wanted to be anywhere but listening to Angelo.
Well, that's understandable. If you feel threatened that those thoughts are going to go away, that's going to propel you into that horrible place that you don't want to be. So you've got to hang on to them. You've got to hang on. So don't try and get rid of those thoughts at the moment. Just thank them for being there, because they're doing you a favor. Make that your exercise until next time we see you.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. I just want to
shower. Yeah.
I just want to, of course, I still want to sort of directly attack what I call it, attack this, whatever, the beliefs, I'll say belief, I don't know, the belief that I live in this disconnected, whatever, empty space of helplessness and so on. And of course, yeah, I can hear David straight away saying, no, you won't do that through your mind. You'll have to do it through your heart. And I'm okay, pretty right. But
yeah, no, just stay in that place where you're distracted and all that, and thank it for being there, because it's doing a good job. Okay, so after, at some point, you're going to see that what it's protecting you from is just a fantasy, but at the moment, the fear of going there is real. So thank those horrible thoughts for keeping you away from that. That's the thing. Now, don't try and fix them. Don't try and get rid of them, because that only threatens you.
yeah, that
Just-
makes sense.
Just be happy with them and stay with them and thank them for being there for at least the next few days. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. There was this, like, I'm still talking, when I'll talk for 2 more minutes, if that's okay. I did have this sense for a long time when I went to the Buddhist center a long time ago, and I never, like 25 years, was it, ago or more, longer. And people were talking about meditating and calming down. And I was thinking, oh my God, you know, it never calm down. My thoughts are just going like crazy. And it was only that one experience of a Lama coming and giving a direct teaching that was the reason I'm here, I would say. But anyway, apart from that, it's just constant distraction forever and ever, days and days and days. And I thought, after a while, after years, I thought, there's some reason for this. I can't be distracted forever for no reason. There must be fear.
There's
There must be
definitely
some
a reason. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And it's done such a brilliant job. It really has done it very, very well.
It's and I decided year before last to try psychedelics in order to go and explore that, but it just terrified me even further.
Yeah, of course. It would, because
yeah,
you're going to see it straight away. You're going to see that place is yeah. It's, we got to not take away your armor at this stage. You know, we've got to make it unnecessary before we can get rid of it.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but
you're not going to do it. Don't worry about it. Just at the moment, just be thankful for what's there. It's doing a good job. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
That's it. You've dominated the whole night tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love you for it. Thank you, Don. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking we'll wind up, eh? Yeah. Good one.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.